Welcome back, everybody, to the Leadership Lens with Taylor Robinson. I'm very excited about this conversation today. I think that we're going to have a lot of a really great back and forth vibe here today with Joseph Callejo. He is the president and CEO of BDC United. I'll let him tell us a little bit about what that company does. I'm sure he'll do a much better job of explaining it than I will. So if you wouldn't mind jumping in here right at the beginning here, Joseph, first of all, thank you
Sure.
for coming on the show today. But if you wouldn't mind, just give us a little bit of a background on what your business does, who you are, how you support your clients. I think it's better coming from you than from me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Taylor, thank you so much. It's an honor and a blessing. Thank you for bringing me onto your Leadership Lens podcast here. So thank you. Yeah, I'll dive right in. So as you said, company's name is BDC United. We're more than just a virtual or outsourced business development center at this point. Coming up on our 8th anniversary in August, and what we have developed is more of a omni-channel business development center. What does that mean? We offer a suite of products. BDC, yes, is the core of our company. That's what we were born on, and that's how we bootstrapped our company. And here we are today with quite a few hundred dealer partners out there in the world. But essentially, yeah, we offer a solution for a sales and service business development center, inbound, outbound calls, working along with the dealership's BDC internet department salespeople, their leadership team, or completely taking over and showing them what we've perfected, like we would like to think over the last almost decade here. So, working directly in the dealership CRM, finding those supplemental sales from the service drive, right? People who need oil changes. We always want to buy their car and make them an offer. Hopefully, they can't refuse. Obviously, no one's going to walk home, right? So, most likely, they need that replacement. And they're a data mining team, right? I think a hot topic that people forget about is what are we doing to nurture our own DMS, right? The data management system of our clients. Whether it's saying happy birthday, happy car anniversary, it's just saying thank you for your business. And then finding a way to have that educated conversation, selling via education within those KPIs, right? The high interest customers, the lease warranty, the mileage expiration, all those KPIs that automotive people out there in the world know. Yes, we also have a service BDC, the backbone of most dealerships, right? The fixed ops group that people sometimes forget about, but that's the way we really take care of our customers through the loyalty and keeping them happy. So just handling
Hmm.
the inbound calls with a proper customer service type of scenario, and make sure when we are making those outbound calls, treating like that customer like they're a guest in your own home. We have a motto in our office here in Florida. If you're on the phone with a customer of a dealership, you know, if you're speaking to that person, you better be treating them as if they're a family member. I say I speak to every customer as if it's my grandma. I'm a grandma's boy. So, but that's who we are. What we do. We come from a long line of executives that have been doing this for 20 plus years, and I'm blessed to have great people around me. So.
So what's the kind of the current or most common clientele? Are they dealerships that would be a part of a larger entity like a Toyota or a Ford, or are they kind of resellers of used vehicles more so?
No, I would say our bread and butter are the franchise OEM dealers, right? The Toyotas, the
Hmm.
Hondas, the Chevys, the Fords, right? That being said, we have a very strong mix of independent dealerships throughout the country. We are a national company, so and we love working with our vendor retailers, right? I'm a vendor. I kind of hate that word. I like to be considered a partner, an extension
You're a
of the
partner. You're a
world.
partner. I always say partner.
Yeah, we're partners, right? At the end of the day, we can be hired, we could be fired, right? So that's why I like the word partnership. We're all here to be successful together. So yeah, but OEMs, that's are really our bread and butter, and bringing a solution to their marketing team or their human capital problems
So
or
you
processes.
you use the term kind of franchise there, which is what I would categorize some of these bigger dealerships as. And my family's owned some franchises before. I know the type of assistance that you get from kind of the main corporate entity and whatnot, which is great for trainings and other things. And so in this space, if I'm a Ford dealership, I've got a lot of tools at my disposal that Ford has given me. I've got a lot of, you know, back office technology and whatnot and things like that. And so what you're saying is that you are a supplemental piece to what the Ford brand is currently doing with their dealerships, of which maybe they're lacking in the training and development piece with their sales and business development professionals. And that's an area where maybe the ownership of the dealership, that's not their bread and butter. But so you're coming in and you're assisting it to further develop their pure personnel and come up with processes that add a higher touch, more intimate customer relationship. Would that be fair?
Yeah, dead on, Taylor. So, I think one of the big differentiators between us and, you know, a potentially in-house BDC, right? Not every store is broken, but what we have found is more times than not, unfortunately, in today's automotive market, is the BDC is for some reason where people's careers go to die. And I hate to be negative, right? But you can't sell a car. Oh, go get on the phone and talk to 120 people today. Like, what? Excuse me? Like that makes no sense to me. So,
Mhm.
yes, absolutely. We consider ourselves, experts at the business of getting people into the dealership, right? Engagement. So supporting
Yeah.
dealerships with their technology, their tools, whatever resources that they have, we absolutely work side by side with that. Hence the name BDC United, right? We chose that very strategically. Instead of being around the corner locked in some closet where 90% of BDCs are, unfortunately, and we're just down a couple thousand miles of fiber optic cable, and we engage with the dealership on that one-on-one communication. So absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah, great. So you obviously know salespeople, you know business development folks, you know processes, you know all this stuff. And so one of the things that I do in my world, obviously, is I assess talent, I find talent, and I make sure that they're hopefully the right people for my clientele. And sometimes that is in the sales space or a chief revenue officer type of thing. When you're looking at talent and you're hiring for your own team or you're consulting with your clientele about hiring and whatnot, what are some of the things that you're looking for in what you would come out to be a key sales professional? What are some of the things that you're interviewing for, questions you're asking? How are you assessing talent?
Yeah, attitude is number one for me. Right?
Mhm, mhm,
Obviously, we all have personality traits, but attitude and then relentless pursuit of perfection, right? We're never gonna be perfect, but if we're pursuing that every single day, all day, I have a motto that I use on a lot of my social media clips, right? 1% better every single day and
mhm,
always positivity. So I think attitude is absolutely everything. But never not taking no for an answer, right? Every no brings you closer to a yes. And I truly believe in that. And any salesperson professional that has been successful, whether it's 1 year or 20 years, I think would agree with that. So that would be my
mhm.
my short answer to that. But
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So when it comes to, you mentioned a couple of things to me which kind of jumped out at the beginning of the call here, which is, sending a birthday text or a message that congratulates someone on 1 year of ownership and whatnot in there. Is your business handling a texting piece of it? Would you guys offload that to your team, or are you helping and assisting in building the systems and the processes that allow these dealerships to do that on their own?
so yeah, we can do both, right? Ultimately, our immediate solution is, we dive in, we get our hands dirty, right? The idea behind, happy birthday, what are your plans, or congratulations on your 1, 2, 3 year car anniversary. It's disarming. Right? Oh, thank you so much. And it also brings that love into appreciating your customer base. And then obviously our strategy is right to go behind that phone call, depending on the reading the room, so to speak, and making them a pitch to try to obviously acquire their vehicle or see if they are in the market. What has changed in their life? Have they had a child? Have their kids moved out and gone to college? Are they recently married? At, we have a saying, something I learned from my AutoNation days. SUVPS, right? People buy cars because of the style, the utility, the value, the performance, or the safety, right? So if you can find that X factor on a nice warm call, usually good things happen.
Mhm,
Answer your second question, is absolutely we want to train, teach, mentor, coach, develop the associates in the dealership. We bring all that human capital. At the end of the day, the more the better. We are not in that dealership, right? So who better than to understand our philosophy and mirror us and synergize with us. Because when that customer comes in and they're saying the same thing that we said on the phone, but in person, imagine the experience that that customer is going to have, right? Whether it's sales
mm,
or service.
yeah, yeah. I wanna switch gears here a little bit. You're a small business owner, I'm a small business owner, and I want to talk about your story a little bit here because obviously you have built something. It's wonderful, but you had to kind of make that decision at some point in your life that you were going to kind of go into this direction. And can you walk me through the beginning stages of this business, how you kind of got into it or made that decision, and what some of the first steps for you? I love hearing origin stories.
Sure, sure. I mean, that could take another 30 minutes here, but we'll keep it short. retail guy, started selling cars like, every other general manager's story, and worked my way through the ranks up into some of the larger franchises in the state of Florida, some pretty large auto groups, finished up with one of the larger Toyota stores in the country, and just had an epiphany. Had some very, very good mentors around me, some really smart associates that we had this idea essentially. Why are we this hired gun, a W-2 associate, for our dealer partners? We've done our job. We've helped. Let's build our own legacy, essentially. So we took the leap of faith, and here's BDC United today. We bootstrapped it. Where I'm sitting right now, I'm not sure how well you can see the background, or left or right, but there was a wall in front of me, and it was this tiny little kitchen. And we drilled holes through the ceiling, pulling extension cords down. We had pop-up tables to the right, pop-up tables to the back, and had anywhere between 15 to 25 people just with this cobweb of cords everywhere. Obviously, that grew into an office, and then we became, a national company where we're here today. So, yeah, couldn't be
Mhm,
more blessed. But big fan of the power of the mastermind. No one person
mm.
can do it on their own, and I cannot take all the credit. I've had some very, very smart, brilliant people around me to guide me, hold my hand, and go down this entrepreneurial journey. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you're running a business, you can't be an expert at everything, right? But you do need
Yeah.
to learn, and you do need to grow, and you do need to stay on top of the different functions that it takes to be successful in any business setting. Is there a particular function within your business that you had no clue about when you started off that now you feel like I've kind of got my handle on this a little bit here, but what area of your business or duty or responsibility, whatever the case may be, do you feel like you've made the most progress on over the last 6 7 years that you've had this business?
Yeah, I think one on the administration side of things is understanding just the legality behind a lot of hiring, training, payroll, just all the fun,
Hmm.
dirty stuff that no one wants to talk about, and making sure you have the proper, professionals. Realizing that you're not an accountant, and you don't have a CPA, degree, right? So
Hmm.
on the admin side of things, just the back end, right? There's a lot of dirty work that goes on behind small businesses, from HR to to the admin to bookkeeping. Just that type of stuff was eye opening.
Yeah.
And then on the professional side, as far as me, as the face of the company type of thing, realizing how big the car business really is. I've always been a South Florida car person, and I was always stuck in our own little bubble because of the size of these franchises down here. I believe South Florida is one of the meccas of the car business, but how much different it is throughout the country, whether you're in Paducah, Kentucky, or Wichita, or Los Angeles, New York. The difference between philosophy of sales and personality was a little eye opening to me, being that, I've been in South Florida the majority of my life. It's pretty fast paced down here. And so learning how to conform and adapt to different
Mm.
personalities, from ownerships, the GMs, the salespeople, and then to their customers, that was a fun moment in the beginning of our business model, that's for sure.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. That's great.
yeah.
You've obviously been in a business development seat for a very long time, and the world just continues to change, and there's new technologies, there's new ways of thinking, I guess maybe I would put it on kind of more of a macro scale. And if I'm going to kind of put in a emotional piece of it, or just the way that people think about the world and operate and conduct themselves when it comes to interacting with other people. And I'm curious if you feel like the sales needs to be accomplished significantly or some differently than it did, let's call it a decade ago, 10 years ago versus today, or if it's still the tried and true, you know, um, activities that lead you to be successful. How much have things changed? How much have we evolved? And
Sure. I think customers are more educated now than ever, of course, right? The power of the internet, the tools that they have to use against the dealerships, and it's not
yeah.
necessarily a bad thing, right? The transparency of communication with a customer, I think, is more important now than ever. The BDCs are fairly newer, as far as the development, right? They've been around for 2.5 decades, but completely different. We're a big fan of selling through psychology and selling via, educationally.
Mm,
There's no more of the, hey, we got your inquiry through cargurus.com or whatever third party in there, should be name dropping, I guess, all the third parties out there. But
Yeah.
we got your internet inquiry through Affinity Group A on XYZ vehicle. It's available. Want to come in today or tomorrow? Like that doesn't work anymore, right?
Yeah.
They want to know the equipment. How many other payment options do you have? Finance, lease, retail. And yes, our job's to get them in with as little as possible. But when they ask the questions, we can't avoid it anymore. The quality assurance is probably the most important thing, in my opinion, for our company or in the automotive world. Making sure you are inspecting what you expect. That's something that we are very prideful on. Absolutely. So, myself as a business owner, I expect nothing but perfection. Do we make mistakes as human beings? Of course, we're not perfect, right? We're flesh and bones, right? AI is always this big fancy word that's out in the car business for the last few years, and I think to resist that would be extremely would have a lot of friction. So how do we become frictionless? We've partnered and developed some really really amazing QA tools, and one of the tools we use is unbelievable a call grade system that
Mm,
it's almost unbeatable, right? So the second that our associate does stumble, trip, whether it's maliciously or not, it's an opportunity for us to coach and continue to
mm,
bring the bottom half up to the leaders and make our good associates, executives of the team, and make them our mentors for the new upcoming associates in our company, right? So we have a grading system that is, I believe, second to none. I'm super, super excited about it. And yeah, I guess that's
yeah.
inspecting what you
It
expect. You
sounds
need to,
well, yeah. Is that
yeah, I would say,
am I reading that right?
yeah, absolutely. So, finding the right people in life are how we grow even faster. And I've again been blessed to come across some very very smart people on the tech side, in the mentorship side, right? But yeah, absolutely, Taylor, you're 100% correct. When that call is completed, how hard is it for somebody to listen to hundreds of minutes of phone calls, thousands, right? Hundreds of thousands
Mm,
over the course of a year, right? Our organization, may make, 1, 2, 3 million calls a month. How do you monitor all that? And think about the minute usage, right? So,
mhm,
having that technology, identifying the good, the bad, the indifferent, then that human element can come in and have that true empathy with that associate or leadership to make them that much better in real time, right? Like that fast. End of the day, boom, we've grown rather than waiting a week later for a complaint that maybe we missed, right? Maybe we gave someone an
mm,
out the door price we should not have done. Now that customer comes into the showroom a week later and we made a mistake. Well, great. Now we're eating crow. So it's very
mhm.
proactive, right? Reactive. So
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, Joe, you're doing some amazing things. This is a great conversation. I'm looking forward to kind
thank
of
you, Taylor.
staying in touch with you and seeing your business continue to grow. Obviously, you're doing some really amazing things, and you're a great leader for your organization, and are doing all the right things of keeping an eye on your personnel and continuing to do training and differentiate yourself and everything else. You've got a wonderful organization, and I appreciate you bestowing us with some of your thoughts and thank you for being on the show very much.
That was my honor. And Taylor, again, thank you so much. I've been a fan of yours for quite a while. So it's a blessing to be on Leadership Lens. Thank you so much.